Hey, what's going on everyone? Nick here with my ending explained video for Alien Covenant. Now, obviously there's going to be spoilers ahead, so if you have not seen the film, I would suggest you not watch this video unless you really want to know what happens at the end of the film. So this is basically going to be me breaking down exactly what happens and then kind of giving a theory of how this sets up Alien Awakening and where the future of the franchise is going from here, because there's definitely a couple big reveals that happen. So in the third act of Alien Covenant, when David and Walter finally have their showdown, as the rest of the survivors are trying to escape paradise when Tennessee comes to pick them up with the lander, it's assumed that David kills Walter in the combat, and he masquerades as Walter as he goes back with the survivors in the lander. Now the interesting thing that happens is that there's a few hours that pass in between when the crew actually get back to the Covenant to when Daniels is woken up with the presence of a hostile life form on the Covenant ship. Now this triggers the final fight sequence where Daniels and Tennessee have to go through the ship and hunt down the remaining xenomorph that has burst out of Sergeant Loop. All the while David, posing as Walter, is pretending to help them out using the security cameras on the Covenant. Now what happens after they kill the xenomorph is Daniels and Tennessee go back into cryosleep and set the course for the ship to go to their original destination, which is Origai 6, the planet that the colony was heading towards that had mapped out for 10 years and ran through all the simulations and already plotted their course for their new home, as originally stated in the beginning of the film. Now what ends up happening is that Daniels asks Walter one last question before she goes under, and what she finds out surprises her and shocks her. She finds out that it is actually David masquerading as Walter as he tells her to sleep tight and don't let the bed bugs bite. Now that's when Daniels goes into full-on shock mode and screams to let her out of the pod, but David just smiles and walks away. So this is where things get interesting. David goes down to the colonist chamber on the Covenant ship, pulls out the tray with embryos, human embryos, and lumps 2 facehugger embryos out from his throat and puts them into cold storage with the rest of the human embryos, smiling down on his creations. The film then cuts to David sending out one last transmission, posing as Walter, back to Weyland-Yutani, saying that the crew, apart from 2 survivors, all died in a neutrino star blast which took place earlier on in the film, and that they're heading to the destination Origai 6 with the 2,000 colonists still on board. So pretty sinister ending, definitely one that ends on a downbeat note, because the heroes don't technically win in this scenario, because David has control of all the colonists to continue his creepy experiments with these xenomorphs. So how I think this factors into Alien Awakening, I think that they're definitely setting up the sort of scenario where David uses the colonists to create an army of xenomorphs, something along those lines, and I'm actually kind of starting to think that Origai 6 might actually be LV-426. Now the interesting thing is Ridley Scott has said in several interviews that the original destination of the Covenant ship in this film actually is very important to the sequel, which is Awakening, and I think that they're really trying to keep this whole Origai 6 thing under wraps just so it doesn't reveal, what the big twist is going to be. And I think that's my running theory right now, that Origai 6 is actually LV-426, and that maybe when they actually arrive there, David unleashes the aliens and ampules he has left, and that's what transforms the actual terrain of that moon. We just don't know at this point, but it's a fairly interesting ending. Leave your own thoughts down in the comment section below. What did you guys think of the ending for Alien Covenant? Were you surprised by it? Were you shocked by it? Did you like it? Did you hate it? And where do you think the franchise is going for Alien Awakening and beyond? Thanks again for watching. My name is Nick, and for more on Alien Covenant and the Alien Predator universe, stick with the Hybrid Network.